Ever wondered how to manipulate strings in programming? Welcome to the fascinating world of string manipulation, a fundamental concept in the realm of programming. It's a critical skill that every software engineer and web developer should have up their sleeves, as it's often a hot topic in interviews. String manipulation is all about effectively modifying and extracting information from strings of text. Whether you're building a website, developing a game, or creating a database, you'll find yourself constantly working with strings. Hence, understanding how to manipulate them is of utmost importance. In the world of programming, strings are not just mere sequences of characters. They are versatile data types that can be bent, twisted, and shaped to fit our needs. We can calculate their length, access specific characters, join two or more strings together, or even change their case. The possibilities are endless. In this video, we are going to explore various string methods that make these transformations possible. We'll delve into methods such as length, which returns the length of a string, and charAt, which returns the character at a specific index. We'll also examine concat, a method that joins strings together, and replace, which searches and replaces specified values in a string. Furthermore, we'll explore the includes and indexOf, methods that check whether a string contains certain characters or values. We'll discuss the split function that can divide a string into an array of substrings, and the to lowercase and to uppercase methods that convert a string to lowercase or uppercase letters, respectively. Moreover, we'll take a look at methods like slice, trim, substr, substring, and valueOf, each with their unique roles in string manipulation. Don't worry if these terms sound overwhelming now. We'll break them down one by one with clear examples and simple explanations. So, are you ready to unravel the mysteries of string manipulation? It's going to be a fun and enlightening journey, I promise. Now let's dive into the first method we will be discussing today. Starting off with a simple one, the length method. This method is a fundamental part of string manipulation. But what does it do? Well, it returns the length of a string. In other words, it tells us how many characters are in a string. Let's illustrate with an example. If we have a string that says hello world, the length method will return 13. Why 13? Because it counts every character, including spaces and punctuation. So hello world has 5 characters in hello, a comma, a space, and 5 characters in world, totaling to 13. To use the length method, you simply append .length to the end of your string. So for our example, it would be hello world.length. As you can see, the length method is quite straightforward. Now let's move on to the next method. Now, let's learn to access characters in a string using the index. Each character in a string can be accessed by its unique index. Indexes start at 0, not 1. This means the first character of the string is at index 0, the second character is at index 1, and so on. So, if we have a string like hello world and we want to access the third character, we would use the syntax string. This translates to hello world, which would return L. That's right, the third character of hello world is L, not E. This is because H is at index 0, E is at index 1, and L is at index 2. Remember, it's 0-based indexing, not 1-based. That's how you can access specific characters in a string. Next, we will learn about the charAt method. Ever needed to find out the character at a specific index or its Unicode? The charAt and charCodeAt methods can help. These methods are the bread and butter of string manipulation in JavaScript, giving you the ability to pinpoint specific characters and their Unicode values with precision. Let's dive in, shall we? The charAt method, as its name suggests, returns the character at a specific index in a string. Imagine you have a string called hello world, and you want to find out what the character at index 5 is. You would use the charAt method like this, hello world.charAt5. This statement would return the character at the 5th index, which is the comma. Now let's say you're working with Unicode and need to find the Unicode of a character at a specific index. This is where the charCodeAt method comes into play. This method works similarly to charAt, but instead of returning the character, it returns the Unicode of the character. To use it, you would write hello world charCodeAt5. This would return the Unicode of the comma, which is 44. In both examples, notice that the index is 0-based. This means that the first character in the string is at index 0, the second character is at index 1, and so on. So, in our Hello World example, the character at index 5 is actually the sixth character in the string. These methods are incredibly versatile. You can use them to parse strings, make comparisons, or perform a variety of other tasks. Whether you're handling user input, manipulating data, or dealing with internationalization, the charAt and charCodeAt methods are tools you'll want in your JavaScript toolbox. And there you have it, the charAt and charCodeAt methods in all their glory. Remember, the more you practice using these methods, the more comfortable you'll get with them. So, don't be afraid to experiment and try them out in different scenarios. These methods are especially useful when dealing with Unicode characters. Now, on to our next topic, joining strings. Let's talk about joining strings together using the concat method. In JavaScript, strings are an essential part of programming, and concat is one method you can use to merge or combine them. This method takes two or more strings and returns a new string that is a combination of those strings. Let's bring this to life with a simple example. Suppose we have two strings, hello and world. We can use the concat method to join these strings together like so. Hello, concat, world. The output would be hello world. The concat method can take multiple arguments, allowing you to join more than two strings. Remember, concat does not change the original strings. It creates and returns a new string that is the combination of the input strings. The concat method is a handy tool for combining strings. But what if you need to find a specific string or character? That's where the includes method comes in. Finding a needle in a haystack, the includes, indexOf, and lastIndexOf methods make it easy. Let's dive into these methods. First up is includes. This method checks whether a string contains the specified string or characters. Think of it as a simple yes or no question. Is this character or substring present in the string? If the answer is yes, includes returns true. If not, it returns false. For instance, let's take the string hello world. If we use the includes method to check if this string contains the word world, it will return true. If we check for the word galaxy, however, it will return false, since galaxy is not part of our string. Next, we have the indexOf method. While includes tells us if a substring is present, indexOf goes a step further. It returns the index position of the first occurrence of a specified value in the string. If the value is not found, it returns -1. Let's go back to our hello world string. If we use indexOf to find the word world, it will return the index where world starts, which is 6. If we search for galaxy, it will return -1, indicating that galaxy is not found. Lastly, we have the lastIndexOf method. This works similarly to indexOf, but instead of returning the first occurrence of a value, it returns the last occurrence. If the value is not found, it returns -1, just like indexOf. If we have a string like hello world, goodbye world, and we use lastIndexOf to find world, we will get the index of the second world, not the first one. These methods are your go-to for searching within strings. Next, we'll look at splitting strings into arrays. Now, let's break it down with the split and replace methods. The split method does exactly what it sounds like. It splits a string into an array of substrings based on a specified delimiter. The delimiter is the character we use to divide the string. It could be a space, a comma, a hyphen, or any other character you want. Let's take the example of a sentence. I am learning string methods. If we want to split this string into individual words, we can use the split method with a space as the delimiter. This will give us an array where each word is a separate element. Now, what if you have a string and you want to replace certain parts of it? That's where the replace method comes in. This method searches a string for a specified value or a regular expression and returns a new string where the specified values are replaced. For instance, let's say we have a string I love JavaScript, but we want to replace JavaScript with Python. We can use the replace method to accomplish this. The first argument of the replace method is the value we want to find, and the second argument is the value we want to replace it with. After applying the replace method, our string becomes I love Python. Next, we'll cover changing case and extracting substrings. Let's start with to lowercase and to uppercase methods. These are handy when we want to standardize the case of our strings. Say we have a string hello world. If we want this entirely in lowercase, we apply the to lowercase method like so. Hello world to lowercase, giving us hello world. Similarly, for uppercase, we use hello world to uppercase, which yields hello world. Now on to extracting substrings. Imagine we have a sentence and we want to extract a word from it. This is where the slice function comes into play. For example, let's take the string, the quick brown fox. If we want to extract the word quick, we'd use the quick brown fox, slice 4-9, and voila, you have quick. Next, let's look at the trim method. It's like a neat freak for your strings. It removes any white space from both ends of your string. So, hello world. Trim will give you a neat hello world. The substrip method extracts parts of a string, beginning at the character at the specified position, and returns the specified number of characters. For instance, hello world, substrf 65 will return world. Lastly, there's the substring method. It's similar to substr, but instead of specifying the start position and the number of characters, here we specify the start and end indices. So hello world, substring 611 will also give you world. Remember, all these methods return new strings, leaving the original string untouched. This is a crucial aspect of strings in JavaScript. They are immutable. You can't change a string once it's created, but you can always create new strings based on old ones. These methods provide a wide range of functionalities when working with strings. Finally, let's discuss the valueOf method. Last but not least, let's discuss the valueOf method. This is a unique method in our string manipulation toolbox. It might seem a bit abstract at first, but it's actually quite straightforward. The valueOf method returns the primitive value of a string object. But what does that mean, you ask? Well, in JavaScript, there are two types of data: primitives and objects. A primitive data type is the simplest form of data, like a number, a Boolean, or a string. An object, on the other hand, is a collection of properties where each property has a name and a value. Now, when we create a string in JavaScript, we're actually creating a string object. This object has a bunch of properties and methods that we've been discussing throughout this video. But at its core, the value of this string object is the string itself, the sequence of characters that make up the string. And that's what the valueOf method gives us. Let's consider an example. Suppose we create a string object. Let myString equals new string, hello world. If we then call myString.valueOf, we will get back hello world, the primitive string value of our string object. So why is this useful? There might be situations where you need to work with the primitive value of a string object rather than the object itself. The valueOf method gives you a way to access that value. And with that, we've covered the valueOf method and wrapped up our exploration of string methods in JavaScript. From understanding string lengths, accessing characters with indexes, joining strings, checking for substrings, splitting and replacing strings, changing case, extracting substrings, to returning the primitive value of a string object, we've journeyed through a whole host of powerful tools for manipulating strings. And that's a wrap on string methods in programming. Remember, practice makes perfect. So, keep experimenting with these methods until you're comfortable with them. Happy coding!